We pick presidents here in South Carolina most of the time, and it is an opportunity for all of them. I'm glad for that. I was going to actually bring him out here, but he snuck up on me. Governor John Kasich, let's give him a big round of applause. Governor?
I don't want to be, completely here off the deep end, but there's not a lot that seems to be working very well in Washington. And why? When a person tries to do everything, generally they don't do anything very well. And what we've seen is an accumulation of power in Washington, and it's just not working. See, frankly, all these federal rules need to be reviewed, and the ones that don't make any sense ought to be gathered up in a bundle, and they ought to be repealed. And secondly, you've got to have people inside those bureaucracies who understand what it's all about, and they got to understand that the most important thing for a person to do is to create a job for somebody. And if they're killing jobs, then they're hurting families, communities, states, and the country. I mean, why run all this stuff out of Washington? Education ought to be run in South Carolina, Medicaid ought to be run, transportation, whatever you raise here, you keep. And then you can pave your roads to whatever you want. You can have whatever priorities you want. It shouldn't be, somebody in Washington trying to decide what should be happening in South Carolina.
What would you do to solve or to address the illegal immigration problem in the United States?
I mean, the idea that we're going to deport 11 million people is ridiculous. It's not going to happen. I mean, you can all think, some of you may think it's going to happen. It ain't going to happen. So let's try to figure out how to, one, secure the border, make sure you have a legitimate guest worker program. Let's hire let's make sure we hold employers responsible for violating what the law is. And let's make sure that anybody that comes across, once the border is secured, goes back. People can talk about big change. I've delivered big change. I know how to get these things done. It's one thing to talk about them. Senator, am I right? It's another thing to do them. And the things I talk about are not designed to get me, they're not an election document, they are a governing document. And so I think these things I talk about today are things that I hope you would understand. These are the kind of things I would do, like right off the bat.